We are talking about the TikTok possible ban. It may or may not be banned by the time this episode comes out.
Yep. Still don't know what's going to
Yeah,
happen. It might even
it's
get extended.
who knows, extended indefinitely. We have maybe some hot takes on whether or not we actually think it'll be banned. Welcome to the
Tokimeki
podcast. We just made our own catchphrase.
Yeah.
But here on the Tokimeki podcast, we talk about, what would you say, like trending?
Yeah, business topics
Yeah.
and how it affects our business growth, how it affects the business professionals in their work.
Yeah.
And obviously, brand presence is one of the big thing where you could invest a lot of time in. I've seen like even in the days of Facebook where
Yeah.
some brands put a lot of work into the Facebook and then somehow something changes where like their content gets deleted or their account gets frozen. And all the things you built up, right?
It gets lost, just like poof, just like that.
And you have no control over that. And I guess we would call that like a vendor risk. Something where you're kind of locked into the risk of vendor where you have no control over your own thing. And I think a lot of things are like that today. Like when you upload video to YouTube or when you upload something to Instagram or TikTok, at any point they can say, oh, you violated something or we don't like your content, and they can delete your content. Today, we're obviously talking about TikTok.
Yeah, because that might be gone.
Yeah.
And so what to do? And we really want to talk about business takeaways too, like actionable learnings that you can take away from our conversation from an emerging tech expert and a social media marketer being our expertise. So do we want to jump into, do we think TikTok will actually be banned or not? Or do we want to leave that till the end?
Yeah, maybe we can leave it to the end. We can first talk about the short background. Some of you may not even know why is TikTok even banned?
Or that it might even be gone in a few days.
I don't have like all the details, but gist of it is that because TikTok is owned by a company called ByteDance. I didn't know that for some time ago until I actually engaged with them through the VR project that I
you communicated with them directly.
Yeah, ByteDance, the parent company. So that's a parent company in China, and they created TikTok, and they released a version, the US version of TikTok in US that you can go and download. But I guess our government is worried that all the users' data that we're submitting, right, through behaviors, right? Like if I scroll through some content, algorithm knows what I like, and it might even know who I am, right, where I live.
Collect some personal and keep personal information that could be used against us. That's what the U.S. government thinks. And this is an ongoing issue too that the court systems have been having with ByteDance as well.
And not just TikTok, ByteDance, right? Because even the Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, he got called to the court, like, hey, what are you doing with the data?
Yeah, what is Facebook doing?
Yeah, what are you harming the teenagers, right? Same with the Google. Like, I remember Google CEO having to show up at the court about the Google device, their Android phone tracking things and locations and stuff. So there's always something going on with the legal, court around user information being tracked and for the interest of the users. What's the best, right?
Yeah.
For privacy is important. But in this case, because it's a Chinese company, there is always the worry about like, oh, well, Chinese government can have backdoor access to the data because, you don't control.
To maybe confidential American affairs too.
There could be something.
Yeah.
Because they might be able to read the messages. I don't know if people are talking anything important on TikTok, but there could be something, right? And that could also influence like elections.
Yeah.
Maybe not direct attack, but if we know how to influence people effectively by showing ads or content that's like a for or against a candidate, that's like an easy way to influence the audience, right? Like if we keep showing serving bad content, like a negative content about this candidate all the time, then you can kind of influence people's perception about the candidate. Because where else do people get information today? They are our age group, like millennials and younger, especially don't really watch TV anymore. So we learn about candidates, what this person said. You kind of slice the part where they said something poor, and then that can be used against the candidate, right? So there's a big worry about like, hey, this Chinese government who probably has a backdoor access or at least use political power to influence ByteDance and therefore TikTok can have a power that we don't want. Yeah.
So the Supreme Court is saying in order for TikTok to not be shut down, there needs to be a US buyer for it. And I did see news today. I don't know how true it is or not, or if it's actually going to go through, or if it's just to create more sensationalism around it. Elon Musk, I think, was one of the potential buyers, apparently.
And apparently that was refuted right away. So I know that Elon Musk isn't going to be. And that would be actually scary if you think about it. That's like what's the News Corp president, the Murdoch?
Oh, Robert,
it's like that, the modern day, the news or company where
like becoming becoming a conglomerate, right? And that's not allowed. You're not to do that in business, like an antitrust law, right?
Yeah. I mean, Elon Musk already has the influence on X, and he even have an algorithm where like his content gets served to a lot of people. So when he say something about the candidate, especially during the presidential campaign, the last one, where he was for Trump, right? And I've seen lots of content around him posting his content. I'm pretty sure that was unfairly distributed on the feeds of the people, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're gonna be in the political affair and own this big outlet, then you have like a little too much power and influence, right? For or against. So going back to the US buyer thing, right? Was there any other potential buyer?
I think that was like one of the big sensational pieces of news. I haven't seen anything else since that update earlier, but I can't claim this, and I actually wrote about this in my latest LinkedIn article about TikTok, but there have been people on LinkedIn saying that there will be like probably most likely a last minute buyer maybe swooping in anyways in the next few days. So there's talk around that. And then some people just outright think it's going to be banned. Quite a few people in my circle of social media managers think that it's over. They think TikTok is over. And so we don't know, or maybe we will know by the time this is posted. But I think one of the biggest takeaways here is whether or not there's TikTok, what do you do with your content? Because I think this just points back to how important it is that you repurpose your content on social media. You don't just put all your eggs in one basket, just post to one social media platform.
Yeah, like you have option to post the short content into YouTube Shorts and also the Instagram, right? At least you can distribute into multiple locations. Even if you don't have the same success, you at least have a repository of the content. Because how easy is it to export content from TikTok?
So I saw it recently changed how you can download content that you uploaded to TikTok too. So before, you used to be able to download a unwatermarked version of a video before it was published to TikTok back to your phone or your laptop, but you're not allowed to do that anymore. You have to publish it first before TikTok gives you a clean unwatermarked version. If you download it before making it live on TikTok, they now have the TikTok watermark on it. So probably they found out that there were people downloading the draft of it to upload other places.
Got it. Yeah, I think we even did try that.
I did that. Yeah, that was one of my kind of hacks for getting a vertical version.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to edit. I guess now you use more CapCut, maybe not.
But ByteDance also owns CapCut. So I don't know if you heard, but part of the issue, actually what I'm even more worried about, actually, in a way, if ByteDance doesn't come through and they can't reach an agreement, is CapCut will also effectively be shut down. because ByteDance also owns CapCut.
I did read that the shutdown effectively meant more like you couldn't download
You can't
the new one,
download, but
right?
you can't update the app either. So eventually you become defunct because you can't upload like bug fixes and things, right? To continue using the app. So it becomes like obsolete almost in a way.
It's kind of pointless to operate at that point.
Yeah.
Do we have more background information before we speculate what would happen?
We could probably talk about how businesses should go about in this worst case scenario that this type of shutdown, because this has been happening for a while too, like whether TikTok is allowed or not. And this has been a big topic for a while. And I think one of the biggest things is when it comes to creating content, at least if you're a brand, is to make content so that you can upload it to another platform, that it's like transferable in a way.
I think content is true, right?
Yeah.
But the audience is like quite a different thing.
Yeah.
Where we even noticed that when we upload content to TikTok, the same exact content performs like really well on TikTok, but not so much on YouTube Shorts or Instagram. So even though you may have already been cross posting across and have all the backups, you may not have the same success that you used to have, right? Like TikTok, people make sponsor deals that are paid for posting on TikTok, not on like YouTube Shorts, or you have the affiliate links, even TikTok Shop, right? Like you would only make money if you're on TikTok selling TikTok Shop products, not like if you move to other platform. Well, how are you going to make money on YouTube Shorts?
Right.
It's completely different ecosystem for the money. So I know that's like devastating. Like content is one thing, but you're really creating content to get to what, like a money or influence. It's something that's like less of maybe access to the content itself, but what comes with the content creation. Right?
Yeah. I think a big thing is being able to create content that, and depending on what your strategy is, right? Like if your strategy is just fixated on TikTok, that could potentially be an issue. Like I think you need to think holistically what kind of content can reach different audiences. I think for most of us, posting on 5 different platforms like every single day or 3 times a week is not realistic. So when you think of like a vertical short form strategy on social media, think about, I mean, one, how you do your edits, are you making sure that any captions or text is easily readable, no matter which vertical platform it's uploaded to? If you're uploading it on LinkedIn, can you also upload it to YouTube Shorts and still have it readable? Now, I mean, obviously mileage will vary for like the audience, right? But I think part of content is finding the audience too for like what the content is. And so, part of that experimentation is also trying different platforms and not just staying on one platform, because platforms can come and go, right? Like now, Blue Sky is becoming, a bigger platform or than X, right?
I heard the Red Note
Yeah.
is the Chinese version of TikTok that is now the number one download because people are like, okay, I'm gonna jump ship from TikTok and jump into the Red Note, which actually is directly controlled by the Chinese, I think ByteDance, the parent company. So you're actually giving more direct data to
Right.
that the company instead of like through the US entity version, right? So like it's kind of also interesting psychology of like, okay, you're trying to solve this one thing, but if your true fear is our consumer data to leak to the Chinese government, then blocking one thing without showing the solution, right? People could pick the worst option, which is to go to the Retina, which gives even more personal data directly to the company that you're not expecting. So that's also an interesting thing to know that there is always the alternative, right? Like when the X starts to become, I started to hear people how bots are getting into the X.
Yeah.
I see lots of bot content and comments.
Yeah.
And now people, okay, I'm going to move to Blue Sky. So the same thing is happening with the TikTok. Like, okay, TikTok is going to be gone, so I'm going to go into the even more uh, uh, privacy invasive version of the TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think saving your vertical short form content is going to be really important too for repurposability. So, like when I mean, maybe we might not have CapCut, but whatever like video editing app you have on your phone, like making sure you save the content in a way where you can transfer it to a hard drive or somewhere you can save it later so you can re-upload it on another platform. Let's say TikTok's gone tomorrow, then you can still upload it somewhere else so you have it. So then you can repurpose the content somewhere else and maybe make it something else as well. Maybe it becomes a montage of something too, right?
Besides CapCut, though, what do you recommend? Because now that could also be gone, right?
Yeah.
That's mainly the go-to free editing software that a lot of creators used.
Yeah. And even I paid for it to get better like captions, right?
I mean, there's like Adobe and all this stuff, but I don't know if there's a.
I mean, I don't know. There have been a few that I was using, but I feel like CapCut was really good compared to a few that I was using that didn't have enough features to warrant being not paid. So if you have any recommendations, I would love to know. But I don't know. I think like even Adobe Premiere, like they're making it a lot easier too. I think they're like continuously updating. And honestly, like I think one of the issues with CapCut too, this is going on a bit of a tangent, but also if you're doing heavy edits to videos, like I feel like sometimes your phone can't handle it or the app can't handle it. So then I almost just want to use go back to Adobe Premiere. You can use Final Cut Pro to do more of those heavy edits. Yeah, on desktop. You can also do CapCut on desktop, but I ran into the issue of dropping a huge file in it and then it like freaked out. So then I'm like, I'm just gonna use Adobe Premiere. I already pay for Creative Cloud, and it does pretty much everything, so I don't have to worry about it.
And I know the professional still use like desktop app to do high quality type work, like, especially as you layer in effects and all this stuff. It is much easier.
Yeah, and my social media managers, a lot of them are saying they're either upgrading, like who just started doing video, they've come to the point where they're upgrading now to Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, or they're going back to Adobe Premiere from doing phone editing apps because it's not powerful enough. So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. So like, and what's interesting about TikTok is that for one, you want to do trendy things, and that might rely on the music available on TikTok, right? Then the other thing is, I know the CapCut had meme template where you can just use the template to create the similar content that you just watched, and that blows up because it there's a trendsetter who creates a funny content, then everyone tries to do the same thing, and TikTok loves when the other creators use the same exact template that's like a green screen.
Oh yeah,
like where the cat is like meow and the meow, and then like you're trying to put the funny captions, and everyone wants to use that. And Capcom made it easy, so you can create that one without you having to be creative or you having to source the material. You just download the software and use the template.
In a way, it also helps them probably keep track of popular trends too. Like if people use this template like 10,000 times versus this one 5,000, they can see which ones are popular too, right?
And that's now difficult because if the TikTok is gone, the content that you created using CapCut may not really translate into other platforms because you can't use the same music right on the YouTube Shorts or Instagram. So now you can't use the trendy music. And if the trendy template is gone, then people who are relying on the template to create funny content now have to figure out, okay, what do I do now? I don't have the free template.
Yeah, maybe you need to actually learn how to video edit again. I'm just kidding.
And you have to think about how to create original content, right? That's not just
I mean, maybe it will kind of, in a way, clean up all this just like quick and fast food-ish type of content. I don't know. Not to say that that's not bad content at all, but I think we'll just see a change probably in the type of content that's out there.
So let's do quick speculation. Also, by the way, like if you like the content so far, make sure to subscribe and like the content and hit the bell to get notification every time there's a new episode. But let's do some of the speculations. I guess the speculation could be, is TikTok going to be around because something happens where like, okay, yes, now it can stay. Or do you think TikTok will be gone, just like how Twitch is officially gone from Korea? Because I don't know. Okay,
I guess I don't
so
follow Twitch that
in
closely,
some
yeah.
countries, Twitch has pulled out because the bandwidth that they had to deal with streaming content from one creator streaming to distributing that content to thousands of viewers, they have to pay network fee for each country to handle the bandwidth, right? Because they have to have a server somewhere that handles,
Got
right?
it.
And
Yeah.
Korea economically was not sustainable. They don't make enough revenue in Korea to offset the cost of the network fee. Like it might be like, terabytes of, data transferred every second, and they couldn't justify
Huh.
the cost. So that was more economical reason. But I remember the big drama of Korean streamers, Twitch streamers, like I built this whole business on top of it and it's going to be pulled away.
Yeah.
So that could happen with the TikTok, right? So what's your initial speculation? Do you think TikTok would magically survive because something happens? Or do you think it'll be gone?
America has a lot of money. For one thing. I'm not saying that Korea doesn't have a lot of money, but I feel like my vote is it will still be around. TikTok will still be around. It'll probably change, actually. I think what might happen is someone will buy it, there will be a buyer, but then there will have to be changes done to the platform to comply with like US law, probably. So maybe some features that we're used to might not be available, or tracking or data tracking. Like maybe that has to be removed.
Like where it has to be more. I think they might already be following the legal stuff. It might just be that they don't like that it's going to the Chinese company. Maybe that's the only issue. Or do you think
Maybe.
they're
I
violating
think
something?
I don't know if it's violating. It's probably I think, for example, although I feel like the US probably isn't as strict, but Europe is very strict, but also with like ads, disclosed ads. I think TikTok is really kind of weird about that. Like I'll just see something that like it is an ad, but like I didn't know it was an ad until I watched a few seconds or something, and I'm like, okay, this is an ad.
I mean, they
Or it
try to
just
do the sponsor thing, but
and
sometimes it's hard to
sometimes
notice. Yeah.
yeah, and I think how they do their it's funny because I feel like they also kind of like maybe kind of make it's a little fuzzy, I think, how they calculate like, oh, so many people watch like TikTok lives. But then the app makes it so that like as you scroll, like you'll randomly have a TikTok live that just starts playing. So like, I don't know, I feel like not that that's shady, but it's like a little bit like manipulative. I think of like maybe data points because you can call it like a watch technically, probably, or like an impression. But how TikTok does it, because other platforms don't do that. Like you don't just randomly jump into someone's live on Instagram.
Yeah, usually you have to click.
You have to click to go in, but TikTok has it where it's just a natural part of your feed. So I don't know if that could change, but it could be. Just the US could be more like strict about that. But yeah, that's just
I kind of
my thoughts.
agree with that speculation that just like how Elon Musk last minute like kind of bought Twitter, like, and that happened really fast. I'd assume that even now there's something is happening behind the scenes and they're probably reaching out to different buyers and they might even have some connections still, right? Where like ByteDance would say, okay, yeah, like I can sell to this person because there's some backdoor connection where they can still represent the company or the part of the profit still goes back to the parent company or some kind of deal where it will make it really well because it will be a huge economical loss to not have TikTok after hiring so many people and putting all these hours of like work to make it happen and generate a lot of money. I assume they're somewhat profitable.
There's 170 million users, I think, about right now.
Yeah, and that's a lot of that data that you can even sell to make profit. So I think something will happen where, okay, maybe you have to sell to the US company, but the company you're selling to might have some kind of connection
Oof.
that's favorable
Maybe.
to
I
them,
mean,
right?
hey, yeah, it could very well be. Yeah.
The politicians lobby on behalf of enterprises all the time, right? Like a TurboTax lobby, so that government, you have to use the software to file tax.
Well, yeah.
Like even though government technically apparently knows how much tax you owe, you still have to do this exercise of going through accountants and use TurboTax because the industry already exists and you don't want to lose millions of dollars.
Yeah, the paying those like experts, right?
Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
I think it will still stay. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna rush into Red No because I'm not like I'm addicted, so I need to find the next TikTok. If TikTok is really gone, I guess that's another like opinion. If TikTok is really gone, I don't think I'm gonna go to Red No to find another TikTok because I'm not like addicted to content
to
itself.
TikTok itself.
Yeah.
I mean, what I really like though is how you can really find your audience like on TikTok really easily. It's really good at finding your audience if you're making the content that
Yeah.
speaks to it. Comments are very good. Very
We get immediate
yeah
feedback.
yeah
right?
immediate feedback. So that's nice. So if there was another platform like that, that'd be great. It doesn't have to be TikTok. And I think that's the other thing too. Like I think truly if you're a creator that loves creating, is passionate, or that's where you excel, you'll definitely find another platform that will have your audience.
Yeah, maybe we should
So
talk about that in the next
yeah.
episode of our experience and the journey of trying out all these platforms and what we found
Mhm.
through the content creation. Any final take on this episode?
TikTok's not going away. And if it does, gotta just find another platform. Just have to be flexible, pivot.
Yeah, or
Social media keeps changing.
double down on YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Instagram, or something
Well,
like
there
that.
you go. Exactly.
Yeah. I think TikTok will stay, but we'll see. If it changes, I guess we'll know what ends up happening with the Red Note or some another Silicon Valley company creating a TikTok competitor.
Right.
But yeah, leave some comments if you have your own take. We'll see you next time.
Bye.